We have some breaking news, and it involves the Los Angeles Lakers. Guys, the Lakers haven't played a game in weeks, but the developments surrounding the team continue to dominate the NBA news cycle. And I want to get into all of that today. We have a lot to go over. Real quick though, my name is Troy. Thank you so much for checking out the Half Court Report today. Do me a solid and drop a like on this video to help support the channel. Also, make sure you are subscribed so you never miss any of my NBA content coming at you several times a week. So the first thing we need to talk about is the roster additions that the Lakers are looking to make this offseason. I think if last season showed us anything, it showed us that the Lakers need a little more depth and they need players on some value contracts that can contribute. And a good way to do that is through the draft. So in the upcoming NBA draft, the Lakers have picks number 17 and 55. So according to my sources at LakersNation.com, the team could look to add another point guard or perhaps a promising wing. The team could also look to add some size as well and bring in another big man. All of those are possibilities as the team schedules private workouts with some of the top prospects available. According to Jonathan Givony and Jeremy Woo over at ESPN, the Lakers have scheduled workouts with Purdue big man Zach Edey and the G League Ignite's Ron Holland. They've also already worked out Providence point guard Devin Carter. Edey, as you know, I'm sure you guys are very familiar with his game, the biggest star in college basketball the last couple of years. Just look at those stats from this past season. He is 7'5". He led the nation in scoring. He's also the back-to-back National College Player of the Year. More on him in just a second. Ron Holland of the G League, very athletic wing. He was a top player coming out of high school last year before entering the NBA G League. He's a wing who brings tons of energy and intensity to the floor. He's an excellent attacker offensively and a potential defensive stopper. The big concerns with him are about his three-point shooting ability. And if we're being honest, just his shooting ability in general, because even his free throw percentage makes me a little worried. This guy will need some developing. Devin Carter, he was the Big East Player of the Year at Providence this past season. He's the son of longtime NBA player Anthony Carter. And Devin Carter, he's not a traditional point guard in the sense from a playmaking and distributing angle, but despite measuring at 6'2", he averaged nearly 7 rebounds to go with his nearly 20 points per game. Also improved as a shooter, knocking down close to 40% from deep last year. This is a guy who I think could step into a D'Angelo Russell type of role and excel for the Lakers. So let's circle back to Zach Edey for a minute. Why is he such a polarizing prospect, and why are teams like the Lakers seemingly so interested in him? Well, according to Adam Wells over at Bleacher Report, the concerns about Edey stem from whether he can keep up with the speed of the NBA game, even though he was a dominant force in college at, as I mentioned, about 7'5" and 300 pounds. Still, his draft projection appears to be in the number 9 to 19 range based on team workouts that he's already taken part in or has scheduled, like the Lakers. So coming out of the scouting combine last year, Edey was a standout during those workouts because he showed significant improvement with his conditioning and his mobility, carrying over from his final season at Purdue. It's also worth mentioning that there are plenty of front offices who view Edey as a potential lottery pick, with some even having him as a top 10 player in the class. The Lakers' potential interest in Zach Edey makes a lot of sense because they need a backup center behind Anthony Davis headed into next season. Edey has a limited skill set, but he's always been able to score when he's close to the basket. He increased his scoring average throughout his 4-year college career. He averaged over 25 points per game last season, and as I mentioned, National Player of the Year for the second season in a row. The Lakers are going to make sure they do their due diligence on all potential prospects as they look to improve that roster, and what better way to do it than the NBA draft. It's going to be worth watching what the Lakers do with the picks that they have, especially considering all the intel surrounding Bronny James, because he is all but certain to be a Laker. Write it, print it, put it on a t-shirt. It is going to happen. But with the Lakers having the 17th and 55th picks, I think 17th is too early for Bronny. 55, you run a chance of him being off the board. So, do you trade up, maybe a pick in the 30s in the second round to nab Bronny? Do you try to get a later first-round pick in order to draft him that way? Because right now, Bronny has only worked out for the Lakers and for Phoenix. By all accounts, both workouts went really, really well. If I were to wager on it, though, I feel like he may be in play for the Celtics at pick number 30 or the Sixers at one of their second-round picks. I think either of those teams could draft Bronny using it as leverage either to sway LeBron to sign with their team in the offseason or as a way to get more assets from the Lakers to get Bronny over to LA. Zach Edey and Bronny James make that potential hiring of Dan Hurley even more interesting. Guys, you've heard about this. Dan Hurley, the UConn coach who has won 2 consecutive national titles, is very much in the mix to be the new coach of the Lakers. Ever since Darvin Ham got fired, this Lakers job has been one of the most coveted positions in professional basketball. There were the reports that J.J. Redick all but had the job lined up. Then in the 11th hour, we get this huge Woj bomb that Dan Hurley from UConn is the Lakers' number 1 pick. This has been crazy to follow. One reason Dan Hurley could be a good coach for the Lakers is because of his history of player development from the NCAA level. With the NBA these days, you can't just outspend other teams like the Lakers have done before. You have to draft and develop young talent. And the Lakers reportedly feel like Dan Hurley could help further develop the young talent already on the roster, such as Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, and Max Christie. Let's go ahead and throw in Jalen Hood-Schifino and Maxwell Lewis, the players that the Lakers drafted last year, into that mix too. Just imagine if the Lakers had a coach who could develop their young players and get the most out of the veterans. There is a lot of potential with this Dan Hurley hire, and he has gone on record as saying how much of a fan he is of Zach Edey. Guys, where there's smoke, there is fire. I would pay a lot of attention to Zach Edey and Bronny James being 2 major additions to the Lakers this offseason. That's what I think, but let me know in the comments, what are your thoughts on what the Lakers are doing this year? Let me know below, and since you've watched this far, make sure you drop a like for that YouTube algorithm and hit subscribe too so you never miss another NBA video from me. Coming at you several times a week with NBA content. Have you checked out my latest NBA mock draft? I go over all of these guys. It is a 2-round mock draft, all 58 picks. Show some love. I worked really hard on it, and I think you'll come away not only entertained, but you'll learn a lot more about these prospects as well. Guys, that's all I got for you today. Thanks for checking out the channel, and I will catch you next time on the Half Court Report.